Hi, and welcome to this video blog on loose parts theory and misconceptions. Now, I know in the title it has the word theory, and that might sound a little bit boring to you, but my secret sauce is being able to tie theory to practice and convey it in ways that are very helpful for you and can make your role just a little bit easier each day. So by the end of this episode, you're going to be confident in knowing what loose parts actually are and 3 of the common misconceptions about loose parts play that can either be stopping you from getting going with loose parts or hindering your growth and moving forward with them. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Veronica Green. I am an early childhood consultant, and I specialize in supporting educators to educate through creativity and connection. I love all things loose parts play. I tie it to theory and practice with practical and fresh ideas to help with your planning, understand behaviors, and build strong relationships. So what exactly are loose parts? The theory of loose parts comes from Simon Nicholson, who was an architect back in the 70s, and there is a paper written on this, and I've linked it in the show notes below. So this very simple definition is loose parts is the playing around with the components and variables of the world in order to make experiments and discover new things and form new concepts. So Nicholson, he wrote his paper based on the idea that many environments have become very static, like education buildings, even some childcare buildings, hospitals, even playgrounds, everything's very static. And that loose parts, when we have these different variables added into it, they can make it very, very dynamic and active. And this allows children to build that creativity. So there are some common categories for loose parts when it comes to collecting them. There are wood items, metals, natural fabrics, glass and ceramics, plastics, and recycling. But some of my favorite ones are the ones that often aren't talked about, and I feel that these are just as important. Now, this is just a few of them, but such as lights and reflection, motion, cooking and fire, smells, animals, and even our words, thoughts, and ideas are considered loose parts, according to Nicholson's theory. So with all these things, as Nicholson says, children like to invent, discover, explore, and have fun. I love that he actually includes the have fun in his theory, because oftentimes there is this talk about children need to learn and that you can't have fun during, like, it's just play, it's just them having fun, but they're not really learning. But I hope that you will start to see that loose parts encompasses all of that, and having fun is just as important as all of the other learning as well. So here's just a few examples of some of the wonderful other variables that you can see. There's different lights being explored. There's transformation of materials when you add water. We're exploring motion with putting the paint and the marbles down the magnet boards. We're exploring multiple variables. We're seeing what happens when we mix different colors together, what happens when we transform chalk by adding water or smashing it. There's lots of different ways to explore loose parts. So let's go into some of the misconceptions. The first misconception is that loose parts are always small items. This is not true. Yes, there are lots of beautiful small items, but I actually find the bigger, the better. So some of our favorite loose parts that we use at home are these cardboard blocks, cardboard tubes, and pieces of plexiglass. Nothing is small, and it allows us to create really amazing towers and do all sorts of fun things with them. The second misconception is that loose parts are only for preschoolers. Oftentimes we see a lot of examples of that on social media. However, loose parts can be used with any age, infancy all the way through till adulthood. When my little guy was like an infant and was just crawling around, his favorite loose part to play with was a tin can. So obviously you have to use a tin can that is safer on the edges, so it doesn't have any sharp edges in there. I like to use coffee cans because they just have a plastic lid and they're big and easily washed and can be used, and you don't have to worry about the sharp edge. So he would be pushing that tin can all around the house. He gets to hear all the different noises. He gets to feel the coolness of the tin can. He can put things into it. He can put his hands out of it. He probably even tried to talk into it. So there's all different ways to explore loose parts, and he was a young child, an infant, and he got to have fun with that item. Another example is when he was a toddler. Some of his favorite pieces of loose parts to play with was a random piece of cardboard and a piece of IKEA packaging that he used as a shield and a sword for a long time. Those pieces were taken in and out of our cars with us, to childcare, to Nana and Papa's house, and they were his favorite loose parts to play with for such a long time. So if you need more ideas of what to do with loose parts for infants and toddlers, I do have videos on those as well, and I've included the links to those videos for loose parts for infants and loose parts for toddlers in the show notes below. So the last misconception, or one of the last misconception that we're going to talk about, is that it's only physical items. Now, this is where I wanted to talk about those other variables that we see a lot of the time, such as electricity, magnetism, cooking and fire, plants, animals, words, ideas, and concepts. So I personally believe that anything and everything can be a loose part. It does not just have to be the physical items, which is helpful because it's actually less cleaning for us, less organizing, less storage. So find some hills, roll down them, find some trees to climb, explore animals, and think about even how the idea of them playing with the sounds of different letters and creating different syllables when they start to do that, that is a part of loose parts play. So if you're just getting started with loose parts or need some inspiration, make sure you grab the free loose parts guide that I have. There are tons of inventory lists to give you lots of ideas of what to collect, so you have a well-rounded collection of loose parts. There are parent resources inside of it so that you can help convey the connections between play and child development as well across all learning domains. I answer some of those frequently asked questions of, what do I do if they don't touch it? What do I do if they have a different idea than what I was thinking? And of course, there are so many more resources inside of that guide as well. So I'd like to know what surprised you when you first started using loose parts and some of the misconceptions that you have learned along the way. So make sure you grab your free loose parts guide. There's so much inspiration and support in there and how to get started and collect them. And I can't wait to hear what you and the children do while playing and learning with them. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for watching. I want to hear your thoughts on this video and topic, so leave a comment on the blog. You can follow along by subscribing to the blog or my YouTube channel and stay connected on Facebook and Instagram. I will see you next time.